currently taking place in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, that Ghana remains committed to its Paris climate goals.
Also this afternoon, we explore the number of presidential aspirants disqualified from the December 7 presidential elections and the reasons given by the Electoral Commission.
It's now 24 days to the general elections. We are your election center and we'll be finding out from some traders at Abu Silkai what will inform their choices in the December polls. It's great to see you here on NewsCentral. Those are the top stories. I'm Kemeni Amano.
And I am Mawina Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now. This afternoon, up to 12 presidential aspirants have been disqualified from the December 7 presidential elections. The cause for the disqualification, a failure to garner the appropriate endorsement of nominations to meet requirements as provided for by CI 127. The running theme has forced the Electoral Commission to, like in previous years, strike out political parties and independent candidates from the race at the Jubilee House, with the latest being the disqualification of Philip Apiakubi, known popularly as Roman Father of the Ghana Freedom Party. Now, providing the basis for the disqualification, Jean Mensah stressed on the endorsement challenges, which she says later became matters bordering on illegality.
Of the process, they detected a number of errors and some illegalities with the form. The candidate's attention was drawn to these errors and the party was provided an opportunity to correct them. They did that. In the view of the commission, it was not in our bosom to provide the political party the opportunity to correct some of the illegalities that we found on the form. In that respect, the party did not draw their attention to it because the commission does not feel that it is in its bosom to allow any political party to correct illegalities with the form. The commission, therefore, as at yesterday, wrote to the party and to the candidate disqualifying him from contesting the 2024 presidential election. This morning, we are here to inform you of the Commission's decision to maintain the presidential ballot.
That's the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Madam Jean Mensah. But at the heart of this is that Philip Apiakubi, also known as Roman Father, becomes the latest who's been disqualified based on matters relating to endorsement. Let's try and get a bit more understanding from what all of this means, starting off perhaps with the Political Parties Act and one of the lingering questions which have been asked particularly of political parties, why they are failing to garner the appropriate endorsement and what the Political Parties Act says. And so Section 9 of the Political Parties Act, for many, makes it quite simple for these political parties to be able to do so. And here's why. It says that on the basis of why the Electoral Commission will register a political party, they must, amongst many things, meet a number of these requirements. B says that the party has on its National Executive Committee one member from each region. That's one of the requirements. Also, the party has branches in all the regions and, in addition, organized in not less than 2/3 of the districts in each region. Here's why it becomes interesting, which many make the argument that based on this requirement alone, political parties particularly should be able to gather all the required endorsement. One last requirement here says that there is a member in each district, at least one founding member of the party who is ordinarily a resident in the district or is a registered voter in the district. This is a requirement for political parties to be able to get registered and be recognized as political parties. They must have in each district at least one founding member of the said political party who is ordinarily a resident in the district or is a registered voter in that particular district. Now, let's take you back to CI 127, which provides a bit more for us in terms of the requirements upon which these political parties and independent candidates are failing to meet, and has to do with nominations of presidential candidates. Now, it says that a candidate for election as president shall be nominated on a nomination form in a manner as determined by the Electoral Commission. 2, that the nomination form for each candidate in an election for presidential or for president shall be signed, 1, by the candidate, also be signed by not less than 2 persons who are registered voters in the area of authority of each district assembly, also designate a person to serve as vice president, and D, be delivered to the commission on or before the day appointed as nomination day in relation to the election. And so point B appears to be one of the key areas where a lot of these political parties continue to fall short of, which says that be signed by not less than 2 persons who are registered voters in the area of authority of each district assembly. Let's walk you finally through the list of individuals as we have it right now who've all been disqualified by the Electoral Commission in one way or the other as a result of challenges with getting at least 2 persons to endorse their nomination forms across all districts in the country. The first, Bernard Bona, political party, the People's National Convention, PNC. The basis for its disqualification had to do with incomplete supporter details, inconsistent and duplicate signatures across districts. We had Janet Asana Nabla of the PNP as well. Similar challenges, used voter information from one district in other districts. Vice presidential candidate did not sign the forms. Desmond Abrefa, who is an independent candidate, also used district-specific voter details inappropriately. Nana Stevens, Japan, an independent candidate as well, incomplete supporter details, used voter data from incoherent or incorrect district. Paul Peko, also an independent candidate, incomplete supporter information, misused district-specific voter detail. And it runs all through the 12, as we have it, who have been disqualified, political parties alike and independent candidates alike. Let's subject this to a bit more scrutiny now and speak to Dr. Kwesi Amachi, because what comes to the fore is the sheer number of aspirants who've been disqualified over eligibility concerns by the Electoral Commission, with questions arising over what possibly could be the challenge. Who is failing to do their job, or what requirements, or whether or not the question being asked is if the requirement is too strenuous. Dr. Kwesi Amachi is a political scientist. Let's get a bit from him this afternoon. Doc, I appreciate that you could speak to us this afternoon. The big question is how these parties continue to fall short of what many say is a basic requirement as gathering required endorsement from across all districts of the country.
And let me say happening to your listeners and viewers. Actually, there's a lack of faith between the political parties who have been affected and have been disqualified. A lack of faith between the ability to register as a political party, meaning that they meet the basic requirements for the registration. And at the same time, at this crucial moment that the candidate going to contest
over whether the Electoral Commission would need to
that
conduct
faith we have getting, if you like, representation across the country. There's a lack of faith there. I mean, it doesn't really, one has difficulty understanding exactly why this is the case. But then another issue that comes to the fore has got to do with the fact that, we got to appreciate that the EC is really working very hard to make sure that if you end up having your name on the ballot paper and then you proceed to contest, to participate in the elections, then definitely you have gone through what you need to do and qualified to be there. So these are my initial reactions. There's a lack of faith between these parties' ability to register as political parties and their inability to, get candidates to stand in their name.
A lack of what? Because some make the argument that based off on just political parties, and I'm starting off the conversation with just the political parties, we've walked through the requirement for you to get registered as a political party. They should not be getting onto the entire process even to start off with. Shouldn't be members of IPAC to start off with if the Electoral Commission was doing the basic job of enforcing the Political Parties Act.
I didn't get your question. You wanted me to relate to, the fact that these political parties are successfully registered. And however, in this particular case, they are unable to meet the basic requirements. That's why I said that there's a lack of fit. FIT. I don't understand, that particular challenge that they are facing. If they could get signatories to get the parties register, the basic thing is representation. We are in a representative democracy. So if they are unable to get people to support their candidates' ability to, if you like, stand on the ballot paper properly, getting representation, people who indeed are in the various districts and constituencies, then definitely there's a problem here. And one cannot crash the Electoral Commission for taking the action that has been taken.
But it's not the first time as well that we're having this challenge rear its head, resulting in the disqualification of political parties. Who should be taking action in terms of eliminating completely, if these parties are not fit for purpose, from the entire electoral process?
Who should be taking what? Action?
Yes.
Please come again. I didn't get the question properly.
So I'm asking the question of it not being the first time where we're having this come up, this challenge of political parties not getting the right individuals to endorse their forms, their nomination forms. Not the first time. It happened in the 2020 elections as well, happened in 2016, 2012. Who should be taking some action? Because if it is the case that these political parties cannot get the appropriate signatories to endorse their forms, why should they be allowed to be a part of the electioneering process in taking decisions at IPAC amongst others?
Oh, okay. Then definitely that becomes another absurdity that we are confronted with. Because how do they end up participating in IPAC engagements, for example? What conditions should be met by political parties for them to be recognized as such by the Electoral Commission? At that level, have they been meeting these constitutions, if you like, these conditions, which obviously are constitutional provisions? So maybe we've got to ask questions and get the Electoral Commission to provide, some information, because the same Electoral Commission today is coming out to tell us that, they fall short of their requirements to enable them, participate in the election. So yes, I think you are asking quite legitimate questions. I mean, these political parties having, participated or engaged in all the processes until this material moment in time. So one thing is coming to the fore. Right? They really properly registered political parties. This proliferation of political parties that we have on our hands. Are these people properly registered? Are they properly represented in the constituencies, in the districts, as required by law? Has someone been taking the trouble to ensure that all these are in place? So there are questions that keep coming.
Right then, Doc, we'll leave the conversation here. I'm sure we'll continue it subsequently, but I appreciate that you could speak to us. That's Doctor.
True. Flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Bawumia, has lauded government initiative for rolling out the Planting for Food and Jobs program. He says the initiative has ensured food security, which has made Ghana to be ranked as a third country for food sufficiency. Dr. Bawumia was addressing chiefs and clergy at Ejura Setre, Dumase, as part of his tour of the Ashanti region. Daniel Opoku is a man on the ground. He's joining us with a bit more on that story. Daniel, good afternoon to you. Talk to us about, I see you're in a car, it's moving. I take it as you're going to your next destination? Daniel, you'd have to unmute. We can't hear you. Well, it seems that Daniel cannot hear us. We'll work on that connection and bring back Daniel into the conversation. But we can now take a listen to Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia when he met with the clergy and the people of Ejura Sechere Dumase.
Vocational education sano jumano free so akaho na yankoda omo pese omusua nsano jumano omotimiko free ekosia lalanom teacher training allowance a omampenyin dada twe mo no yedi ababiom yetua nursing training allowance a otwe mo no yedi ababiom yetua yedi nhihye bebre aba mo nyina mo nim. So they are planting for food and jobs. Ebaye, ebeboa ikuafo. You remind them ikuafo doso planting for food and jobs. No, now Dr. Usu Akutofi, honor Minister for Food and Agriculture. Now Onono Ukuta planting for food and jobs. No, but ama eduane abagana ha. And there, Ushe Africa, Hainina, the whole of Africa, Amaya, a com anyho, Amaya, a Diane Ewoho, Bruni Freno, food security, all of Africa. Ghana is number 3 in Africa out of 54 countries in food security. South Africa is number 1, Kenya number 2, Ghana number 3. In the HRS, Yekwe Jumano, so Akunim, na Usheswa Yabua, Kuku Iquiafo Bibri, Kuku Iquiafo, na Omudiano EU, because of soul issue disease. Yedi Abebua Omo, Yadia Fufro, Yedi Bodia Kaho, na Diadie, na Apija, Yatukuku Muso. From 475 cedis, and then it's 3,100 cedis per bag. Kuku ikiafo, ifia, bua omo, nananum, first no, na kuku board, tia, makuku ikiafo omoma, sede omubeko senior high school scholarship no, sana na etie. And they are the free SHS Saba, Inti Ubiama Eko Senior High School free. Inti Kokobot Sikana Umudi Tria Kukuikua Mama, it was Senior High School. No.
Let's try Daniel one more time. Daniel Opoku is with the Vice President and NPP presidential candidates. Daniel, talk to us. Where are you headed now and what can we expect?
The Vice President will engage party people and address them what we call the Bawumia Connect. A short while ago, he finished addressing the traditional leaders, the Muslim clerics, and also the clergy and opinion leaders in the community. He did that at Ejura Sechere Dumase, where he was telling them about his ideas, that agriculture is going to be the crux of his policy. So he's going to set up mechanized agriculture system across all districts across the country, where a special package was made for farmers to access funding to be able to buy proper farm implements for agricultural purposes. And also talked about healthcare, while Agenda 111, a project that will be completed, a lot of it will be completed by close of year next year. This year, about less than 40 of the Agenda 111 projects will be completed. Now we are heading towards Mampon, where we are addressing the party people, ask them to vote for him because he is as a better candidate than former President John Dramani Mahama, who has only just 4 years in case he wins power. But Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia is very confident that the people of Sechere Dumase, the people of Mampon, and the people of Suta Kwamante Boso be voting for him coming this year's election.
Very well, Daniel, thank you so much for talking to us. Daniel Opoku is traveling with the NPP presidential candidate, Dr. Mamadou Bawumia. I want to turn attention now to another key constituency as far as the elections are concerned. Every candidate garners to get their support. I'm talking about the traders at the Abosokai spare parts market. My colleague, Menu Afo, is on the ground there engaging with people in that area, which is in the Okankwe South constituency, to find out what will influence their voting decisions in the December 7th polls. We can now speak to Menu. Menu, good afternoon to you. Talk to me about what you have picked up so far. Menu, if you can hear me, what can you report? Oh, looks like we have another problem on hand. We'll fix that and bring back that conversation. In the meantime, how about we take a breather? We'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back. Glad you're still here with us on News Central. Now, we're just 24 days to the December polls. My colleague, Menu Afo, is on the grounds engaging members of the Okankwe South constituency to find out what will influence the voting decisions in the upcoming polls. Menu, good afternoon to you. Tell us what you have picked up so far from Abosokai. Well, it looks like it's happening again. We cannot hear Menu. But I want to take you out of the capital city, Accra. The Ahafo North National Democratic Congress fraternity has been cautioned against voting skirt and blouse in the upcoming December general elections. The national chairman of the opposition party, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, urged disgruntled and aggrieved party supporters to band together to canvass votes for victory. To win the elections, leadership of the NDC expects members to form a united front and fight for a common goal. Asiedu Nketia was addressing party supporters and residents of Akwadanyame in the Ahafo North constituency as part of the campaign tour of the Ashanti region.
Namoto abama kwasi aduseya ontira konwa no sumu ebrebi beba ami arese ono de najuma kwa wie ya foforo somra ne anyina nsom no eba sa party no beka bom na obi na dwe se me manko me ba skirt and blouse now they didi NDC candidate owo ho ase a hwewu sa wunya NDC ni papa party mo me ma ba chama yi chirikoko di ni ma men so wo party no we are NDC ni we are NDC ni ultimi nya NDC ni a campaign ma president Mahama na campaign ti akwasi adusai.
Let's bring in Ibrahim Abubakar, our Ashanti region correspondent, for a quick chat on this. Ibrahim, good afternoon to you. Talk to us about this event and what the response has been so far.
Well, Kemini, when you look at the voting pattern in Ahafo North constituency, you realize that since the creation of that constituency, which was in 1996, NDC has won the seat twice, which was in 1996 and 2012. Now, however, in 2016, they entered in the election with strong division, and that affected their chances. So there was a lot of skirt and blouse voting there. You realize that John Mahama's vote was huge, and you compare to the parliamentary candidates, which dropped significantly. Now, you also compare 2016 and 2020. 2016, NDC lost to MPP by a vote margin of a little over 4,000. 2020, it reduced to 2,000. And this is why Asiedu Nketia is saying that they have to be united, go into the election with a formidable front so that they will be able to snatch the seat. Now, when you look at the dynamics, this time around, NPP is presenting a new candidate, that's the NADMO Director General, Nana Ajimai, while the NDC is presenting Akwesi Adusei for the fourth time. So they do not want skirt and vote voting this time around. They just want the party to be united and vote for their candidate. You know, usually after the primaries, these things come out because some people obviously are aggrieved because their preferred candidate did not win. And for that matter, they end up even campaigning against their party's parliamentary candidate. And this is what made Asiedu Nketia made this speech to the NDC front and is urging them to be united and vote for their candidate. But you get there, the campaign activity has also heated up. You realize that the MPP is also not taking it lightly because they've realized that the vote margin is not too huge, so they are not relaxed at all. They have also stepped up their campaign activities, while the NDC is also moving from village to village also campaigning because all of them want to win the seat at the end of the day.
Very well, Ibrahim, thank you so much for talking to us. We'll leave it here for now. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent.
And you're so live here on NewsCentral. A reminder that we are your election command center, and the NDC vice presidential candidate, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has begun her Northeast regional campaign tour today. My colleague Evelyn Tingmeyers with the team is joining us right now with a bit more details. Evelyn, tell us where the NDC vice presidential candidate is currently and what she's been saying.
Wale constituency here in the Northeast region, and she and the team will be here for 2 days, today and tomorrow, and they will be campaigning in all the 6 constituencies of the region. And so currently, she just arrived here. She's having a courtesy call on the Wunguna, and after which she will have another courtesy call at another chief palace, where she will have a community engagement later with the people. And so this is the situation here. But we know that somewhere in October, 2nd October, the flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, was here also in Wale to campaign for the party. And of course, the vice presidential candidate is also here to campaign. Of course, we know this is a stronghold of the MPP. Of course, Dr. Bawumia is from this region and of course this particular constituency. And so the NDC is here to rally support for the party and to make sure that they garner some votes here, if not win, from this constituency.
Right then, we can listen to her now, Evelyn. Thank you very much. Let's now listen to Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, who's been speaking in the Northeast region.
The older people too have their say. When they have saved all their lives, and never in our history have we seen older people go to the Ministry of Finance and beg for their own money. And more importantly, we want peace in our homes. I doubt that it would even have been a thought in the hands of our predecessors. And here I think of J.J. Rawlings, may his souls rest in peace, Atamels, may he rest in peace, and our own John Dramani Mahama. I doubt if any of them would have thought that the most important thing to do at this time is to go and unveil statues to themselves. And again, to appeal that we all come together, vote, and bring in a government. It's not an angel, it's an ordinary human being. But we know he'll do the best by his people and leave a good legacy. And this person is no other person than His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
And we can move away from the Northeast region to the Upper West region, where the regional minister, Stephen Yakubu, has, amongst many other things, commissioned 3 sub-projects by the New Patriotic Party under the Gulf of Guinea Northern Region Social Cohesion Project, SOCO, in the Jirapa municipality. The initiatives aim to enhance health care, quality, and educational access. During the ceremony, Mr. Yakubu criticized the NDC flag bearer for alleged incompetence. Let's touch base with Ibrahim Wangara for a bit more. Ibrahim, a bit more politicking happening in the Upper West region, but what specific project were commissioned, and the big question being asked, why now? Ibrahim, can you hear me? I'm asking, possibly the minister attempted to answer the question as to why they are commissioning them now. Does appear as there's a bit of a challenge, but Mr. Stephen Yakubu's been seeking to answer some of those questions. Let's take a listen to him.
Presented for an 8-year government to be able to provide all these projects for a community. Within the Jirapa municipality, we've done more than 30 to 40 projects within 8 years. No one can beat us. No government can beat us since 1992. We are doing all this, though they never won the constitution.
We know that the minister has also been speaking in relation to the NDC flag bearer. Let's take a listen to exactly what he's been saying. But let's try one more time with Ibrahim Wangara, perhaps, if possibly he can hear us. Ibrahim, we've heard from the minister detailing the importance of these projects and how well the NPP government has done in the span of the 8 years they've been in power. But he's been taking shots at the NDC flag bearer. What exactly has he been saying?
Yes, the regional minister, Stephen Yakubu, said it's better for the people of the Upper West region, particularly the Jrapa constituency, to choose a candidate to become their president, hopefully, someone who can spend 8 years in office, either than someone who can only spend barely 4 years. According to him, John Dramani Mahama, the former president, can only be attributed to issues like DUSA, incompetence, among others. But comparing him to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, he is someone that has been at the helm of affairs when it comes to digitalization, among others. So that is the call the Upper West Regional Minister, Stephen Yakubu, has been giving out to the people of Jrapa constituency. More interestingly, he told the people that Jrapa constituency happens to be one of the constituencies in the Upper West region where they have never had a single member of parliament on the ticket of the NPP. So this time around, considering the project they have embarked on, and also considering the fact that Jrapa is the hometown for Simon Diedom, they expect something good and better from the people. We can take a listen to the Upper West Regional Minister on that.
They should vote for MPP. We have a candidate that is sharp, that is good, that is smart, that wants to develop Ghana, and that is Dr. Bawumia. We have tried His Excellency John Mahama. All what we can attribute him to is incompetence and also doomso.
That's Stephen Yakubu, who is the Upper West Regional Minister. Earlier, I heard me speak to my colleague Ibrahim Wangara. A reminder that we are your election command center. Anything happens between here and now until December 7 and afterwards, trust us to bring that to you always.
Now, President Akufo-Addo says Ghana remains committed to its Paris climate goals. The president noted that Ghana, under the Green Ghana project, has planted some 50 million trees to tackle the effects of climate change. He was addressing the ongoing UN Climate Change Conference in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan.
In 2021, Ghana submitted updated nationally determined contributions to the United Nations, encompassing 47 programs to mitigate and adapt to climate impacts. Our goal is to cut emissions by 64 million metric tons by 2030, demanding investments between 10 and 15 billion United States dollars. Despite financial and technical hurdles, we're determined to meet the Paris Agreement's goals across agriculture, transport, forestry, energy, and other sectors. We have made strides. The Green Ghana project has planted 50 million trees, and forest restoration efforts have covered 721,000 hectares since 2017 when I came to office. 13 mitigation actions have cut annual greenhouse gas emissions by 43% since 2021. Ghana's national electric vehicle policy, backed by tax incentives, promotes sustainable mobility, and our energy transition framework steers us towards a green future. Through Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, Ghana has mobilized 800 million United States dollars by trading carbon credits with nations like Switzerland and Sweden. However, we cannot reach our climate goals alone. We call on our global partners to honor their commitments, ensuring accessible concessional financing for sustainable development in Africa without unsustainable debt.
Let's have a conversation on the back of that. Awula Sewa is National Coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens. We can now speak to her on the subject. So, Awula, good afternoon to you. You heard President Akufo-Addo about Ghana's progress in dealing with the impact of climate change on the country. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think?
Good afternoon. I am astonished. I was wondering whether he was talking about another country. We know that we've got a dire situation in Ghana. We face an existential threat. Our forest reserves are being destroyed by illegal miners. Our water bodies are being poisoned. We all know that once we are destroying our forest cover, it has a huge impact on the climate. Now, if you look at the forest reserves, the Upper Prama forest, for example, 50% of it has been destroyed. To add insult to injury, LI 2462 was passed, which allowed mining in forest reserves, including globally significant biodiversity areas. We were told it was going to be revoked when there was going to be a strike, but it hasn't been done. And in fact, 3 MPs, before the chaos started, 3 MPs have brought a private member's bill to revoke LI 2462. The executive passed EI 144 to declassify parts of Achimota Forest, the lungs of Accra. So with all this information, and knowing that as we speak, licenses are still being granted to mine in forest reserves, what progress has been made? And all the figures that were being thrown around, who has verified them?
Well, he talks about 50 million trees, talks about the carbon credits we've got from countries like Switzerland, I believe. And you say that that is not enough, 50 million trees.
Well, first of all, who has checked the figures? Who has checked the figures? What I know is that our forest reserves are being destroyed. What I know that activists are being intimidated. In fact, just today, 4 farmers who were arrested on Farmers' Day for trying to protect their environment, just today they've been released on bail in Atronsu. We call them the Atronsu 5. 4 of them were arrested on Farmers' Day because they are farmers as well as one of them is a teacher, one of them is an assemblyman. They were trying to protect their environment, and the police arrested them for allegedly destroying an excavator being used to poison the water bodies. They've only been released today. And a 5th person who went to visit them to take them food was arrested. So they've all been released today. We know that the thugs who beat up Erastus Asaredon are walking free. So there's no commitment to protecting the environment, no commitment to protecting the environmentalists, but rather those who are destroying the environment are walking free. So you cannot convince me that there's any commitment to tackling climate change or to meeting their goals. What we are doing is throwing figures in the air. We talk about the tree planting. Who has counted? Where's the data coming from? I'm not convinced. I can only see the devastation on the ground, the forest cover we have lost. And as I said, when it comes to the Upper Prama Forest Reserve, we've lost 50% of it. We have declassified parts of Achimota Forest. How can anybody convince me that there's any commitment? There isn't.
Well, he also admits that there's still a lot more work to be done, encouraging our development partners to work more closely with us to deal with what is left to be done.
What we seem to be interested in is funds from our so-called development partners. There's a lot we can do that we are not doing. We don't need funding to revoke EI 144, which declassified parts of Achimota Forest. There's large remaining forest reserve in Accra, the lungs of Accra. We don't need money from any development partners to revoke LI 2462, which is a perverse piece of legislation. We don't need any funding to stop issuing licenses to destroy our forest reserves. We don't need any funding or development partners to stop intimidating those who are protecting the environment and rather prosecute those who were named in Professor Frimpong Boateng's report. They are walking free, whilst activists were in custody until today. We need to show that we are interested in moving forward, not just in collecting funds from development partners.
I see. But I mean, when we look at the situation on ground, as you have described, compared to what the president has painted at Baku, at COP29 in Baku, it would appear that we cannot reconcile the two. Hypocritical of the president, would you say?
Well, I would say that he's not being factual. I would say that what he was presenting, what we are seeing, seems to be like talking about two different countries. I do not recognize what he's saying. I do not recognize what he's saying as being a true interpretation of the facts on the ground.
Very well, I will leave it here. Thank you so much.
Having me.
Olaise is an environmental advocate. We've been talking about the president's latest speech at COP29 in Baku. He's been painting a good picture of our progress as far as climate change is concerned. Olaise said it does not fit the facts on the ground, with galamsey on our hands and people devastating our forest reserves. You're watching News Central. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
because with just 24 days left to the December polls, she is on the grounds engaging members of the Ablekuma Central constituency to find out what will influence their voting decisions in the upcoming election. She's at Bosokai, to be specific, a very well-known area for trading. Menu is joining us right now with a bit more details. Menu, talk to us as to what these traders have been telling you will influence their voting intentions.
Okay, so it's been mixed reactions so far. Some of them are for the ruling party, others are. But let's hear directly from them. Uncle, what really is going to influence your voting decisions after the election?
Na adia na na ekufu ado aye ta alaje mamu Bawumia epo ni ma pa na dia kupe na dan to as e bi anye on to aso na e me ni em pese e ba ma beba baba bi twe ben ko kan kete dia em pen ko kan kete e pe ni de geta ni nyina emla na tuetes me en to aso dia anye fine ba em pese the best I could achieve, you come in, yes, I'm for part of the Assembly. I want to ask me my poor boy. I want to ask you the payment press attention.
Okay, Uncle, okay, Uncle, I will switch.
Right then, does appear the internet, as has been the challenge. Perhaps one more person. But unfortunately, no, we cannot hear from another person as to what would influence their voting intentions. That's how we'll end this afternoon's edition of the Bulletin here on News Central. Before we go, though, just follow us on 3 News, on Instagram, 3news.gh, on Instagram for all things newsworthy. I am Mawin Aigbeta.
And I am Kemini Amano. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.